I gave you a bit of homework to do, and that was to create restaurants for the rest of the categories. So taking a look at my seeds file here, you'll see that I created 5 restaurants per category. And essentially all I did was change the name, the description, and the category IDs. And I like creating 5 restaurants per category just so that it gives us a little bit more data to play with. You could have created more, you could have created less, it's totally up to you. But this is what my seeds file looks like. Alright, and so the next step that I want to do is go into our terminal, run rake db migrate reset. And what this will do is it'll reset all of our databases. So it'll basically start us off with a clean slate. All of the data that we created early on, like all of the users and all the restaurants, those will all be deleted, and all of our databases will restart back at 1. And so I like running this from time to time throughout the development process because for the most part, a lot of the data that you create early on probably isn't going to have all of the attributes that you want it to have later on. And so a good example of that would be our restaurants. We created Tom's Bistro way early on. It doesn't have a latitude or longitude tied to it. We created a lot of our users, or a few of our users early on, and they don't have a first name or last name. And so I like running this command, rakedb migrate reset, so that it resets all of our entire database and gives us, again, a clean slate so we can start back at ground zero and all the databases are reset to 1. So we'll go ahead and press enter here. It'll go through, clean up our database, and run all of our migrations. And the next thing that you'll want to do is run our seeds file. So we do a rakedb seed. So what happens for the Google API, what's happening here is giving us an error saying that we're hitting the API too much. We've got 40 different restaurants that's going through, grabbing the city and state and passing that over to the Google API, and Google doesn't like that. So a lot of times when you're creating data like this, it's just too much for Google. So what I'll do here is comment out a few of these, run my rakedb seed, and then uncomment it, run it again. And so you shouldn't see those Google APIs warnings or messages come up anymore. But that's just kind of one caveat of using geocoder, because the geocoder uses the Google API to grab the latitude and longitude of the city and state. Now we can test that by running our Rails console and making sure everything's there. So if we do category.all, we have 8 categories. Restaurant.all. You'll see we have a lot of restaurants here. It doesn't show all of them. That's what these 3 dots here are for. But as you can tell, it's gone through and created all of our data for us. So we exit out of that, and just for good measure, I like to restart the Rails server. Here you go. And we're at our localhost. We do a refresh. You'll see all of our categories are right here. And if we do a search, we'll see that we have all of our restaurants. And you can click on them and be taken to the restaurant show page. And you'll see that it restarted at 1 because all of these numbers here are low. Alright, so we've created some dummy data for us. That way, in the future, or for future development, it'll be easier for us to kind of build out the rest of the application. So for example, the next thing that I want to do here is for our properties section right here is to change this information right here, all the stuff that you see right here, and make it real data, the stuff that we just created. So right now it's hard coded, it comes as a part of the template. I want to get rid of it and actually put in our data so that it looks more like the real application that we want to have at the end of the course here. So that's what our next step will be.